So I just finished the Flux Academy Webflow Masterclass, and I have to say I feel immensely more confident using Webflow than I did prior to taking the course. Do I feel like a master? No, but the only way to gain mastery over a skill is through repetition, and I just haven't put in enough reps to be able to gain mastery over Webflow. But I will say that the Webflow Masterclass forced me to use this tool much more than I probably would have done on my own. And so to that end, I definitely feel very skilled with it at this point, and I feel like I could take on most web page designs with the knowledge that I gained from the course. This video is actually the finale of a trilogy that I put together documenting my experience with the Webflow Masterclass from Flux Academy. So I'm going to try to strike a balance between those who haven't seen the prior videos, because I imagine a lot of you are probably going to be looking at this video first. So I'll be trying to strike a balance between that, as well as trying not to be too redundant for people who have seen previous videos. But my recommendation is, if you want the full picture on my experience with Webflow, is to actually just stop this video, go to part 1, and just watch your way through, and that way you can sort of get a better sense on my overall take on the Webflow Masterclass. So I'm actually going to be starting this review from where I left off from the last video, and then from then I'm going to be talking about just my overall thoughts about the Webflow Masterclass, as well as whether or not I think it's worth the money. All right, in part 2, I think I was working on finishing up the advanced topics. So the advanced topics talk about things that I may not use on a daily basis, but it shows a lot of things. It basically shows me what's possible with Webflow, with integrating different third-party software, extensions, and other things like that. The real meat of what I've been working on the past few weeks is this fitness coach website. So in this section, I had to build out a whole new web page from scratch. And the difficult part with this is they don't actually tell you how to do it. So all the videos here, the main goal of this section is to teach you how to create even more complex layouts, even more complex animations. And so each of these videos shows you how to build each of those complex elements. It's not telling you how to build out the web page. So that can get very difficult, because everything else about this website, I have to figure out how to design from scratch on my own. They don't leave you stranded. They do give you a Figma file that you can reference so that you know what it should look like and what you're building out. They also give you a Webflow file so that if I did get stuck and I was just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, I could reference their Webflow file, figure out how they made certain things, and then I could just use what they did and then implement that on my Webflow design. And then they also have a live website that has all of this, that has this actually built out, so you can see how it's responsive and how the animations should look. I will say that this section can get very frustrating because it's difficult, okay? I didn't even get through all of this. I built out pretty much down to here, and I'll show you what I've built out from this. So I've had to build all this from scratch, and I will say, like, it is a very complex web page, at least from what I'm used to. So you can see that little animation with these pictures jumping in. It has this hover animation, which I really freaking like. That's cool. This animation here, bam, opening up this menu, looks badass, but holy shit, did it take a long time to do. Very tedious, very difficult to do, but it does look cool. So I'm glad I at least spent the time to do it. These cards, again, difficult to build because it can be very difficult to do this sort of outer border here, because there is no outer border feature in Webflow using gradients, or at least no border gradient tool. You have to do this in a different way. This section was difficult to build. You get to learn how to design this sort of following animation here, and that's about all I built out. So you can get a tremendous amount of value by building out the entire thing it takes a tremendous amount of willpower to do it because there's no hand holding here. It's just you have to just sit down and do the work. And that gets difficult. And I wanted to be able to put out this final part of the review. So I didn't get through all of this, but I do think that at some point I'm going to go through and build out some more of this because I do think that it's helpful to learn a lot of those more advanced layouts. So that's pretty much what that section entails. That took a tremendous amount of time. And then the final thing that you do in this course is a final project. So in this part of the course, you are given a Figma file that you have to recreate in Webflow from scratch. So this is the third web page that you'll be making from scratch, and you have to build this out. And so with this, there's even less hand-holding because whereas the fitness website had a Webflow file that you could reference so that if you got stuck, you could see what they did, how they built it out, and then use that on your project. And this, there is no Webflow project file that you can source. So this required me to seriously just figure out how to build this from scratch. You do get a Webflow starter file, but literally the only thing on it is that is pre-done for you are the heading styles, paragraph styles, color swatches, and the assets are uploaded. Otherwise, it's a blank canvas and you have to create everything from scratch. And so this is how, or basically what it ended up turning out for me. So you have sort of the loading animations here. And as you go down, working on, again, a lot of absolute positioning here. This grid was actually kind of difficult to build out. Having the cards hover in and making a functioning slider. This section I really liked building out because, again, I found that the CMS section was, it went really fast within this course. And so I didn't really understand it that well. But because I had to build this out from scratch, I figured out how to get a better understanding of the CMS. And so this basically filters out for featured, rent, sale. And I enjoyed getting to learn the CMS by being able to recreate this. And then the rest of it wasn't too bad. So creating a contact form, and this footer got a little bit tricky just with figuring out the different grid layouts there. So that's what I had to do with that. And then I submit that and ultimately get feedback. The other thing that is good to mention is that if I do get stuck, one thing that I think that Flux Academy implemented somewhat recently is the course mentoring. So you can go to the Webflow Masterclass, and this is where you can submit your questions. And so if there's something that I'm having trouble with, I actually use this a lot for my final project and for the fitness website. I could just type in what my project is. I can create a Loom video showing them where I was having trouble, and then they would reply to me with a Loom video talking about what I did wrong and how I can improve it and how to troubleshoot it, which was very, very helpful. Now, I'm still working on my revision for my final project, but at this point, I can confidently say that I am very happy that I took this course. The main instructor, Ron Segal, does a fantastic job overall at teaching the different features of Webflow and how to implement them. And he does a good job at providing a lot of hand-holding in the beginning, and then as the course goes on, he starts to taper off the amount of hand-holding. And I think that is a great experience to be able to apply what I learned within this course. Now, there are definitely a few times where I felt like I was kind of thrown into the deep end, but I think it's really in those moments that I experience the most growth, because it forces me to apply what I learned as opposed to just following someone on a screen. And so for me, it's really the application of knowledge that results in skill acquisition, not just watching the videos. And one thing that this course does really well is it has you take a lot of action. And by the end of this course, I've designed 3 web pages from scratch. So I've been able to used Webflow as a tool again and again, using the various features of it so that it starts to get ingrained in my mind on how to use it effectively. And the cool thing is that if I ever do get stuck, I can just post a question on the Flux community, and I have found that I typically get a helpful reply within 12 to 24 hours. Often that reply will have a Loom video accompanying it, showing me what I'm doing wrong and how I can improve it. One other thing that I really like about this course are the actual web page designs. So the web pages that I build out are very modern. They utilize complex layouts, complex animations, and that was the main reason why I wanted this course, is I wanted that deeper dive onto how to do those more complex things that I just didn't find on Webflow University. Ron Segal, the instructor, does a really good job at doing those deep dives into how do you implement the different features of Webflow in a modern way, which is something that Webflow University kind of does, but not to the extent that the Flux Academy Webflow Masterclass does. The only section where I felt like this didn't hold true was the CMS section. I talked about this in the part 2 of my video, but I actually thought the Webflow University did a better job at that. And it's not to say that they were more in depth, it's just the Flux Academy CMS section didn't offer as much hand-holding, and for me the CMS was just a very complicated section, so I would have liked a little more hand-holding there. So, is this course worth the money? It's $695 US, which is a premium price tag, and I know this is a cop-out, but I don't think I can definitively answer whether or not this course is going to be worth it to you. Only you can decide whether or not this course is going to be worth your hard-earned money. I know for me, I'm really glad I took the course. I have no regrets buying this course. Would I like it to be cheaper? Obviously, but I don't feel cheated either. I think that I gained a tremendous amount of hands-on skill by enrolling in this course, and because it is expensive, I took it more seriously. I have found that with courses that are cheap, I often will go through and watch the videos, but I don't actually do the work. Right? And this course requires you to do a lot of work. And because there is a heavy investment involved with this course, I take it more seriously, and I'm more likely to actually do the work and actually build out the web pages that I'm asked to build out. And I will say that the support in this course is definitely far and away better than some of the other courses that I've taken. The fact that the mentors provide Loom videos for any problem that I encounter is just, for me being a visual learner, is just immensely helpful. And you know, if it makes you feel better, this course is still a lot cheaper than a college course and way more applicable. But if you really want my advice on whether or not you should get this course, I think there are probably going to be 2 types of people that watch this video. The first type is the person who is just getting started with Webflow. They haven't really done a lot with it because the UI just seems overwhelming. For those people who are just getting started and haven't done much with it, I would not get this course. In fact, I would just do the Webflow University courses. They're free, they're highly produced, and they are incredibly well done. And that's what I did prior to doing this course. So if you're just getting started with Webflow, I would just start there. And then from there, you can decide whether or not Webflow is even the right tool for you. And afterwards, then you can take this course. And so for those people who do have some Webflow experience, maybe you've built out your first site, maybe you've gone through some of the Webflow University courses, but you feel like you want that deep dive, like how do you create those complex layouts? That's the boat that I found myself into, and one of the reasons that actually the main reason why I wanted this course. If you fall into that group, that's really where I think this course shines, because it will give you that deep dive. It will show you how to use Webflow to create modern looking web pages with those complex layouts and complex interactions. And so if you're looking for that, then I definitely think that in that regard, this course would definitely be worth it for you. So hopefully that gives you some direction on whether or not this course may be right for you. If you do want to check out the course, there is a link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so if you want to support this channel, then that is a great way to do so. And if you want to join a group of like-minded designers all trying to level up, I have a Discord group called the Designer's Den. It's free to join, so definitely join that if you are interested. And hit the subscribe button if you found this video to be helpful. That would be immensely helpful to me. And if you are interested in checking out the part 1 to this trilogy, then you can check that out right here. And until next time, I will see you in the next video. Take care.